All right, we'll go ahead and start. Welcome everyone to the Singer Lavoie Academy. This is our, I think, fourth webinar that we are putting together. This is the QuickBooks webinar, and this webinar is intended for business owners and entrepreneurs. Specifically, the topic today is QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktop, and this is being brought to you by the Business Solutions Group at Singer Lavoie. So just to go ahead and start for the day, wanted to bring to your attention that if you have any questions during the webinar, there is a Q&A chat box where you would put in your question, and we are monitoring that question, and we will be able to correspond with you that way. Just to go really quickly on to who we are, today's instructors are Joy Huffman, Jayme Lavoie, and I am Lara Buitrago. And we are part of the Business Solutions Group, where we provide outsourced accounting solutions to businesses. Happy to discuss more. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out, and our contact information will be here at the end. So with that being said, let's talk about QBD versus QBO, one of the longest lasting established rivalries out there. Take it away, Joy.
Thank you, Laura. I'm so excited to be doing this today. We actually were talking quite a bit about desktop versus online one day, and then thought, hey, that could be a really fun webinar. So we're excited to show you some of the strengths and the tiny bit of weaknesses of both, or limitations. And so we're going to go over that today. I'm very excited that we've got two panelists with us that I'd like to introduce to you. First, we have Greg Kim from Dissimilar Metal Design. Greg, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Greg, you want to tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. We are a Washington-based designer and manufacturer of architectural metals, and we're happy to participate today in this webinar.
Oh, thank you very much, Greg. We appreciate you being here. Greg is going to be our QuickBooks Online representative today, so very excited to have him here. Jim Hamilton from Bashful Bob's is going to be our desktop representative. Jim, thanks so much for being here today.
For having me.
Jim, you want to tell us a little bit about your business? I think it might have something to do with windows and doors.
Yeah, we're kind of a niche construction firm specializing in window and door sales, marketed predominantly towards the retro market, but some new construction as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you for being here with us.
Yeah.
We just appreciate you, both of you gentlemen, taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. All right, so before we get started, we are going to launch our first poll. We would like to know, what QuickBooks accounting software do you currently use? So our poll should be coming up here in just a second. Our options are A, for online; B, for desktop; C, I don't currently use an Intuit product; and D, I have no idea. So go ahead and please put your vote in now. We're going to just leave this up for about 10-15 seconds so we can get a good idea of what kind of products you're currently using. And if you have no idea, we're really glad you're here. So that way we can hopefully help you to get an idea. All right. So I'm actually going to start with Greg today. Greg, as our online representative, what is the #1 feature of QuickBooks Online that makes your accounting more efficient? And before you answer that, let's look at our numbers since that popped up. Desktop 71% and online 29%. All right, Greg, you got your work cut out for you here. All right.
Well, the #1 feature that makes our life easy is the bank feeds, and the way online brings in all of our data, organizes it in such a way that we don't have to. It takes 90-something% of the work off of our desk.
Perfect. That's a great answer. Bank feeds. Bank feeds is definitely the online banking feature in QuickBooks that allows you to sync real time with your financial institution. For those of you who have not used this feature or are not currently using it, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to go over this with you. You're able to import the transactions directly from the bank and even download your bank statements. That's been a recent development as well, right inside of QuickBooks. Through your bank feeds, you process bank and credit card transactions very efficiently, which gives you more time to focus on other business needs. If you look at the snapshot that I have down there, this is kind of what the bank feeds looks like in the online version. You are able to sort this a lot of different ways. We have another webinar that we went over some of the really deep dive into this. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to share that with you. But you can sort this different ways, look at it. There's this amazing categorization where it remembers what you did before. You're able to create rules, et cetera, et cetera. So the bank feeds definitely are a high feature. But is this feature available only online? Well, the answer is bank feeds are available in both desktop and online. However, in desktop, it's not a real-time sync. So you have two options for your desktop. One is the direct connect, which requires a login to the bank website, and then you're able to bring the transactions into the bank feeds area. The second is a web connect, which requires you to download the information into a file such as either a CSV or, ironically, a .qbo file. And then that will then be imported up into the bank feed section of your QuickBooks desktop. So it's good to know that it exists in desktop. It's just not quite as savvy. So our limitations for this are that our connection isn't real time. It requires much more manual categorization, and then you have that lack of batch action processing. And so that's what it is in desktop. So our drum roll on this one, our score for our desktop versus online in the bank feeds area, online 1, desktop 0. So thank you so much, Greg, for helping us present that idea. Jim, we're going to go ahead and switch over to you now. Tell me, what is the #1 feature of desktop that makes your accounting more efficient?
For sure, job costing. As a construction company, it's essential for us to be able to look at a report and specifically see what costs and revenues are associated with which jobs. So job costing is like essential for us.
Perfect. Job costing is definitely one of the strongest features in the QuickBooks desktop. It allows you to track the expenses for jobs and compare those to your revenue. You can see how much money you make on each job when you do those. This is also a sample of one of the reports that you can run, job costing, the progress invoices versus estimates. Right now, this particular report is not available in the online version. So if you do a lot of job costing, desktop is just set up really well. But the key right there is what I just said, setup. You have to have it set up correctly. You are able to job cost all forms of your labor. You're able to do the taxes. You're able, obviously, to job cost your equipment. But at this time, we're going to talk a little bit about whether or not this is available in online. So our next slide is going to tell us, yes, it is available in desktop and online. However, online is not nearly as robust as the desktop in the reporting or in the tracking. You do have some options in online of what you can do. You can set up a project, you can set up a sub-customer, or you can set up classes and locations and do some of your job costing that way. However, you do have limitations. It cannot track those burden costs like healthcare, the workers' comp. It is not able to do things like union reports or do certified payroll. Those things don't happen very well. You have to have a lot of workarounds to have those things happen. So if that's something that's essential to your business, you need to keep that in mind. You also cannot assign cost to a particular estimate or invoice. And at this point, you can't run a lot of those commonly needed reports, such as the estimates versus actuals. or a committed job cost report, which can be fabulous if you're trying to look ahead and see, do some forecasting. So when it comes to job costing, our score is, for online is 0 and desktop is 1. All right. So right now we're 1-1. I appreciate you guys being part of this, and we're kind of going through this, just fun, just trying to look at the different features and such. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at yet another feature. Let's see, Greg, let's go back to you for a second. We talked a little bit about one of your favorite features before. What is a second favorite feature that you have in QuickBooks Online?
Second favorite feature would be being able to work anywhere. Our team is on the move. We work both in the shop and out in the field, and we have multiple users doing that. So we rely on QuickBooks Online. It's the software being out in the cloud, storing our data securely, and making it readily available to us anywhere we are, making all those features available to us anywhere. So really, you know, the cloud and accessibility, general accessibility of QB Online is, you know, key for us.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I would love to jump in here, Joy, if you don't mind. So a couple things. I do want to back up a little bit about the job costing. I myself worked as a CFO for a construction company, so we use QuickBooks Desktop. What I'm finding as we're providing outsourced accounting services for different businesses is QuickBooks Online does have that class system that Joy mentioned in a prior slide, and that's what we use to be able to track expenses by program, which is very important for nonprofits. So I do want to bring up, it is a little bit of a cousin to the job costing in QuickBooks Desktop, not the same, but what QuickBooks Online has is very good when you want to track by program, or if you're you own a chain of restaurants and you have numerous locations, you can also use QuickBooks Online to track your revenue and expenses by location as well. So QuickBooks Online is getting there.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Jim that for construction, QuickBooks Desktop definitely far outweighs. But now let's talk about cloud and security. So this is huge when it comes to QuickBooks Online. Intuit is a very innovative company, and a lot of their innovation, they're spending it in this space in particular. And I do believe that they are ahead of the game, or at least first or second place in the race. I also want to bring up that our department here at Singer LeWack has been spending a lot of time working with clients on security and internal controls. And I do want to give just a little bit of an announcement that we are going to be doing a webinar shortly, specifically in this space, and what businesses need to do to strengthen their security, particularly since so much is on the cloud and we rely on technology so much. But I'm really excited that Greg brought this up, because I think this is a huge area for any business. So just wanted to jump in and bring that up and bring a little color to this.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lara. The cloud and security is definitely huge in the online. It allows you to collaborate real time with your accountant or with your team. As Lara mentioned here, we're able to get on. I have clients that will send me a question, and I'm able to jump on real quick, take a look at it, and answer their question quite quickly. Versus if someone's on desktop, then I'm looking at scheduling an appointment and having to get with them. Not that I still don't have appointments with my online clients, but it does make a bit of a difference if you have a very quick question. So that's a huge feature for us. It gives you quick visibility on your cash flow. The online version does. You're able to see real time what your bank balances are. And so that just gives you're able to track that a little bit better, versus with the desktop, you have to go look for the information. It's not that it's not available. You just have to look a little bit harder. You can access and manage your books from any computer, laptop, tablet, or even smartphone. I actually have talked to a few clients who have processed payroll from a smartphone before. I don't know how much I'd recommend that. You better know what you're doing pretty well. But the point is that that capability is definitely there. And then obviously you don't lose your financials if a computer or server has issues, or if a laptop gets stolen or a computer breaks, something happens like that. The biggest limitation would be in this particular is if you don't have internet service. Obviously, then QuickBooks Online does not tend to work as well if we don't have internet service. And during times like this, working from anywhere, hey, isn't that a great bonus? Who doesn't want to, if they have to process a payroll on vacation, who doesn't want to do it looking at a beach versus in an office? So it does allow us, and especially during times like this where many of us are working remotely now, it does give you better access and quicker and more efficient with your time. So when it comes to cloud and security, our score is online is 1 and desktop is 0. Nice. So that's 2-1 for those people who are keeping track. I'm one of those people. All right, Jim, we're going to let you come back in. So you tell us, what is the second favorite feature that you have in QuickBooks Desktop?
Really, it's customization. So for me specifically, the ability to customize reports to fit our exact needs, especially as kind of a unique business in the construction world. And then I also really like the customization options of the navigating ways to get to different places in QuickBooks. But reporting's big for me.
It is definitely big for you. Jim and I've actually worked on some of those customized reports. So reporting is definitely one of the top features also in QuickBooks Desktop. With different versions of Desktop, you have access to also several industry-specific type reports. So particularly in the Premier or the Enterprise versions of QuickBooks Desktop, you have like nonprofit versions, you have construction versions, manufacturing versions that will give you very industry-specific reports. And then you also have multiple options on customizing or filtering those reports. And then there's this great feature, commented reports. A lot of people don't know about this particular feature. So I can pull up a report and click, there's a little icon on the side of the report. I can click on that, make a comment on it, and save it. So if I have a question about something or a number that I want to watch for over the next few months, I'm able to look at my commented reports and see what I made notes on next month in case I have questions about it and it hasn't been resolved. So some really cool features in the desktop that aren't available quite yet in the online version. As you can see from our image here, we have a lot of different ways that we can display and filter and massage our reports. Laura, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
I do want to say something for us nerdy accountants is that with desktop, it's also easy to toggle between reports, where in QuickBooks, you have to kind of regenerate the report every time. Some of you folks who use it probably know what I'm talking about, but I do like the toggling feature in desktop. It's easy to jump between a balance sheet and P&L, back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
Can't really do that on online versions.
That's true. That's true.
There's workarounds. There's workarounds, and yep. I know about those workarounds. Not my favorite workaround, but just another comment to make.
And we actually even showed some of those in our last webinar where we talked about duplicating tabs. So yeah, there are workarounds, but again, you have to make sure you're refreshing screens, especially if you're changing something that affects both reports. So you're right, it's not quite as seamless. At this point, we're going to talk just a tiny bit about some of the additional features that are available in desktop. Advanced reporting. So if you have the QuickBooks Enterprise version, so this is even a step beyond the regular reporting, you're able to turn this feature on in the preferences and get in some really high-level reporting that's very specific. And so this is similar to like a crystal report where you're able to build it and kind of come in and make exactly what it is that you're looking for. So if you have something that's really specific to your industry or something along the lines that you need to have, this is only available in the enterprise version, but we did want to make sure we mentioned it since we were talking about reporting. On the next slide, I'm going to show you some of the things that are coming up. And this is in the online. So I'm going to give a caveat back to the online. They have just really started releasing this customized reports section where it's called Smart Reporting. You are able to track performances at a different glance. So what this does is this will pull in things like your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and you can create specific reports that will allow you to grab some of that information. It's not quite as user-friendly yet as some of the desktop stuff, but I'm impressed with this feature. This is available on the advanced version of QuickBooks Online. So you have to make sure you have that version. It's not available in the lower versions at this point. So I'm going to definitely give a caveat to that. However, we still have to do a score. And when it comes to reports and the customization portion, our score on this one is desktop wins. So desktop 1 and online 0, or maybe 0.25. We might give them a little bit of a shout out here. So good job. So that is 2-2. Let's talk a little bit about now. This was the fun part for me, because when we asked these gentlemen what some of their favorite features were, in this next section, the things that we're going to talk about, they both said it was one of their favorite features. So we can't ignore that. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is called merchant services or QuickBooks payments. So if we can go to our next slide, what this is with QuickBooks payments, which is what it is called in the online version. Merchant services is most likely what it's referred to in the desktop version, same thing. It allows you, the business, it gives your business the tools and flexibility to get paid kind of how you want to. So some of this is available in both versions, as we said, because of the fact that you're able to, it's both of their favorites. But you can send invoices directly from the QuickBooks product that has a link that you can get paid directly as well. So the whole transaction could be done in what is as simple as an email. So I have several clients that I have personally taken them to this, and we've showed them how this works. Where literally I'll get an email, there's a link in it to pay something, I'll click on that link, my credit card is entered, and then that payment will go straight into the QuickBooks product. Very, very easy. Makes your online invoicing just fabulous. There are a lot of arguments out there to use different merchant services other than Intuit merchant services because of the rates. Two things I want to tell you about that. First of all, on a side-by-side comparison over the last several years, and I've been looking at this personally, I will tell you this right now, Intuit Merchant Services beats the Square rates. So when people are like, yeah, but we use Square, Intuit Merchant Services beats Square rates. So you need to be aware of that. That's one. Number two, very few of them are able to bring the transactions right internal to QuickBooks where they can attach them to the customer. Since it's an Intuit product, Intuit kind of has the shelf on this. Now, there's a few of them that have been able to get workarounds and they've been able to figure it out. But in most cases, they have to either adjust the invoice or adjust the deposit because the fees are taken out of that particular transaction. So it can end up meaning a lot of manual entry. Again, I think there's a few of them that have worked their way around this and have figured out better ways to do it. So it is getting better with the different merchant services. But you need to be aware of some of the limitations before you just jump at a lower rate for your merchant service. So let's look at the next slide, please. Payroll. This is the other thing that they both said that they really like about their particular product. The QuickBooks Payroll allows businesses to process a payroll right inside the software. Now, we know that as business owners, you have lots and lots of options for payroll. There's tons of companies out there that are doing payroll. We work with a lot of them. ADP, Paychex, Heartland, and I don't want to keep going down the list name. There's a whole bunch of them out there, but we definitely work with several of those. And if that's the right fit for you, that's great. But if you're doing something like job costing, or if you're trying to track time towards a certain grant, if you're a nonprofit, or if there's certain ways that you need to have your time look specifically, if you run your payroll inside of QuickBooks, you're not having to do journal entries at the end of the payroll run to get that information in there. And there are options in both desktop and online where they will process the quarterly reports for you and the year-end reports. So if that's your concern and you're like, well, I don't want to have to do all of that stuff, that has been addressed. So the two main issues that people normally come up with payroll that they don't want to do is the time tracking and then the reporting on the back end. And QuickBooks Intuit has solved both of those. They have QuickBooks Time, which used to be known as T-Sheets, which will help track your time entry, your hours, and can be imported directly into your QuickBooks if that works, that version for you. And then, like I said, on the back end, then they're able to do those reports for you. So it's good to know that you have some options in there. So we're going to talk about what those options are in each of the products. The different payroll options for desktop are enhanced. That's the one where the business actually would be making the payroll tax deposits and filing the quarterly reports. So if I want to have that kind of control, I can do that. And Jim, I know you use this feature. We've even talked a little bit about how you like the fact that it's connected. So Jim, you want to talk a little bit about how that connection works for you in making your tax payments?
Yeah, I feel like it's really been a game changer from the old days of doing it by hand with paper. But it's just, I mean, really, it's just a few clicks, of course, after you verified all the correct dollar amounts. But it's just a few clicks and your tax payments are done. Your the quarterly reports are done. It's amazingly simple once it's set up. Love it.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you for talking a little bit about that. So even if you're using the enhanced version, it doesn't have to be a complicated procedure. Again, it comes to the setup. And that's where, you know, here at BSG Business Solutions Group, we really want to be able to help you because setup is just key when it comes to stuff like this. The other version of payroll that you have in the desktop is the assisted. And this is where Intuit will actually pay those payroll tax deposits for you and then file those quarterly and year-end reports. So if you're like, you know what, I just don't want to mess with that stuff, there is an option for you. On our next slide, we're going to look at what the payroll options are in the online. So at this point, you have 3 different versions of payroll options in online version. One is the core, and you notice I word this a little bit differently. In all of these, I say that Intuit can. And the reason why I word it that way is because of the fact that in each of these options, these payroll options, you have the choice to choose to make those payments yourself. So if for some reason you still want to maintain that control or you want to file those reports, you still have that option in each one of these. So that's good to know going up front. It does default for them to do it. So if you want to make that choice, you got it, again, it comes up to the setup. You got to make sure those settings are done correctly. But in the core version, Intuit can pay payroll tax deposits and file those quarterly reports for you as well as year-end. They also have a 1099 e-file option for you to use as well for your contractors. So that's really nice. It's a great feature right outside of the online, in the online version. For the premium payroll, what they add on, you same features as before for the core, but they also allow for a same-day direct deposit, and then this includes that QuickBooks Time that we referred to earlier. So if you're using QuickBooks Time or primarily or previously, known as T-Sheets, if you're using that product as well, then premium might be the right product for you because you're able to bundle that together. And then the elite version, it offers all of those same features as premium, but it also includes a workers' comp version and then HR support. So if you're not wanting to have that whole HR division as part of your business, but just need support in that area, then the elite version is most likely the best fit for you. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next slide here. And in this, we find that when we are looking at payments and payroll in both of these, They both win. So we both get 2 points for each, one for payments, one for payroll for the desktop and for the online. All right, so I hope you guys are keeping score. If by my mark, that means we're still tied. All right, at this point, we're gonna go ahead and launch our second poll. I wanna ask the question, what is your experience with QuickBooks Payroll and QuickBooks Payments? So our answers are, I currently use both of them. That's answer A. Answer B, I currently use desktop or online payroll. C, I use the QuickBooks Payment or Merchant Services. D and E are asking more information. Do you want more information about payroll or payments? So make sure you make one of those selections. And we'll do want to. Yes,
I do want to point out that with QuickBooks Desktop, doing payroll through QuickBooks Desktop, if you're a construction company, it's key towards posting the labor hours to the project as well. That was something I used very heavily when I was in construction. I don't see that online has that feature.
They do not. Yes, not at this point. Yeah, you're not able to do anything in the payroll as far as attributing it quite like that. They have some options. It's getting better. It's getting closer all the time, but you're still not able to do quite all the features in the payroll. But it also has some that the desktop doesn't. That's why we're scoring both. That's why both win. All right, let's see what our results are from our poll. So nobody currently uses both. We have some people who want to know more about payroll and payments, and then some that use the payments merchant services, and some that use the desktop online payroll. This is nice. We got all kinds of people attending that are voting on this. Thank you for voting, everyone. I
do want to point out, though, if you do want to set up payroll or payments, the key to making it work well, it has to be set up correctly. There's a lot of ways you can not click a section, click a button, and it just won't work as seamlessly as you want. So I always say that QuickBooks Online and Desktop are as good as the way it was set up, really.
That's very true. It's very, very true. I don't know if you've noticed that we've said this now several times. Make sure that you got the setup correctly, because you can get yourself in a big mess if you don't. All right.
I actually, I'm going to jump in real quick because we got an interesting question, and there's probably a variety of answers. The question was, does Intuit charge a separate fee to process 1099s?
That's a great question. That's a great question. So you're asking about Intuit, and the answer is to actually create the 1099 itself. You can do that in the desktop product. And so if you had the paper and you wanted to print all 6 versions, as I think there's 6 carbon copy versions of paper that you have to run through your printer, then no, there's no charge to do those 1099s on the desktop. If you're going to e-file, then yes, there would be. There's a fee to e-file. It takes it into another company that they work with that partners with Intuit on the desktop. On the online version, I don't even think you have the option to print it. So yes, you'd be paying to, again, do that e-filing processing. It's a nominal fee and definitely worth it to make sure that those things, number one, get sent on time. And then they also can be emailed directly to the contractor or the person that you're trying to give that to, or service industry such as Singer Lewack that you would be sending your 1099 to. So as long as you have an email address, you can do that. So you know what, this is the time of year to look at that kind of thing. Make sure that you're getting your vendor set up correctly. Make sure you've got all your W-9s and stuff. If you're following us on our LinkedIn, we just did a whole little series on talking about 1099s and making sure that you're set up. So if you haven't had a chance to read through that yet, you should go back and take a look at that, because there's some real good information in there.
But I do want to point out that this is the time to go back. And if your vendors are not set up a specific way, you have to go back and set each one of all your contractors one by one in order to be able to track, calculate, and generate that 1099 report.
Thank you on that.
So if you have any questions, you know where to go.
Please feel free to reach out to us. Okay, so Greg, I'm going to ask you another question here. What would it take for you to consider switching to desktop?
Good question. We are unlikely to switch. We have been a partner of Singer Luac before we were with basically the full suite of Intuit's QB online product. We're pretty happy with it. I think we talked about some of the shortcomings of it today, but it addresses more than 95% of our accounting finance needs. And in the shortcomings that it does have, we see regular deployments of new features and sort of fixes around the small gaps that it does have. So we're pretty happy. We're going to stay the course.
I love that. That's so great. And Greg's absolutely right. They actually have quarterly updates to the QuickBooks Online software. With the desktop, you get an annual update with the new version that comes out. But with the online versions, they're able to deploy a quarterly update. So that's always happening. If you have suggestions or things that you want to see, there is a help feature that you're able to go in and make suggestions. And so if you have something that you'd like to see be part of that, you're able to do that right from your own product. Again, we recommend that you also put that through us because we'll help suggest it too, and then that's two of us. So keep us apprised of that. That's a great answer, Greg. Thank you very much for that.
I can say something more.
Yes, please.
There have been a number of times that we've needed a feature in QB Online, and you'd think that a large organization like Intuit would have a hard time addressing the ground level needs, but it's in several instances where we've requested a feature, lo and behold, it's in there within 30 days. So it's pretty remarkable.
It is true. Yep. I've seen that happen as well, where we've been able to make some suggestions and they really listened and they rolled out right away. So very true. Very true. All right, Jim, you've heard a lot of things about QuickBooks Online. What would it take for you to consider switching to online?
Yeah, well, I feel like I've talked a lot about reporting, and it's such a key part of what we do. And we've kind of created a library of essential reports. And when I say we, I include Joy in that we, because she's been essential in getting us to where we are with reporting, but I really need that same functionality to be available in QBO. I also feel like as a user, somebody's who's like my QuickBooks desktop looks so much different now than it did 10 years ago, that I don't want to have to learn a whole new thing. So I'd love to see some consistency. So I'm not learning a whole new bookkeeping system. So I want to see consistency as well between the two. So it's easier for me to learn it, I guess. Yeah, those are my main things. But reporting.
And such a key factor when you're talking about certain industries, particularly construction and the reporting. You absolutely, those reports are mandatory. And again, I think QuickBooks Online is getting there, and we're happy to see that continue to roll out. But at this point in time, you're not able to customize it quite the same way as you are in the desktop. And I know from helping Jim build those reports, they use them weekly. Some of those they run daily.
Yes, Joy, I mean, like the weekly Saturday Bob report.
The weekly Saturday Bob report. It's literally, we literally called it that and memorized it in QuickBooks Desktop. It's the weekly Saturday. He's not lying. That's pretty funny. I forgot about that. All right, Greg, any final thoughts or anything else you want to add to us after listening to a very impassioned speech there by Jim?
Yeah, I think that the only other thing I can add is some people on the panel or in the audience might be wondering why we're talking about, or Singer Luac might be advocating for these QBO accounting packages. And I think that question is relevant. We found that the amount of time that we were spending running the bases with our accounting, hand in hand with Singer Luac, was extraordinary. As an owner, I was probably spending a third of my time thinking about the the financial backbone of the company, especially during the acquisition phases and, you know, the quarters after that. And, you know, with the setup work with a real accounting system and financing behind the accounting, ensuring that we're set up for the future. Now we spend about as much time with Singer LUAC, which you might think is odd, but none of it is on the baseline accounting anymore. So we have just as strong a partnership now, but almost everything that we were thinking about 3 years ago is fully automated. So now it's all about growth, acquiring our, you know, vertically integrating our supply chain, tax strategy, all the really interesting stuff that business owners and managers want to think about when running the business. That's where our time is spent now, and that's how we consider these programs and these packages a success. So we thank the Singer LUAC team, and I can't speak enough about our commitment to that partnership and also using these automation platforms. It's been vital to our growth.
Thank you for that, Greg. I appreciate what you said also about working with our team. I believe you've worked a great deal with Jayme in the past, and I know you guys have talked about that. And so glad that we're able to help you, really streamline some processes and make sure that some of that's dialed in. So thanks for that. I appreciate that. All right, Jim. Any final thoughts you want to add?
I want to kind of second what Greg mentioned just about the partnership with Singer LUAC. It's great to have somebody on your team that you can go to, and that's the professional in an area. I own a construction company. I'm not a professional bookkeeper, and we have things we put in a file called the Joy file that she will help us solve the next time we meet. So it's a partnership that is essential for us. But I also wanted to back up to the discussion on merchant services and e-invoicing. We're an Intuit Merchant Services user, and that integration is fantastic. I love it. It is kind of the e-invoicing has really been a game changer for our AR side. I would encourage anyone that's interested in it to get in touch with the Singer LUAC folks, because it's been fantastic for us.
Perfect.
That's it.
Perfect. No, we appreciate that as well. Just like Jayme and Greg have worked together a lot of years, Jim and I also have worked together a lot of years, and it's actually very rewarding to see where we've been able to help you grow to, and help to ease some of the burden by helping build systems and saving reports and things like that. Lara, did you have something you wanted to jump in and say about that?
Well, I think, definitely the innovation and technology is being invested in QuickBooks Online. However, they have taken some of that innovation and still implemented in QuickBooks Desktop. They're not ignoring desktop over at Intuit, because they do know that there's a lot of features over there. But I do usually recommend for my clients something like QuickBooks Online, pretty much for the reasons Greg brought up today. If they're not a construction company. If they are a construction company, I say stay away from QuickBooks Online and go to QuickBooks Desktop, because it is fantastic. But for a lot of the growing companies to take advantage of the technology and the artificial intelligence that's out there, you will see it in QuickBooks Online and some of it in desktop, but definitely see it more in online. That's probably my take on working with both and enjoying working on both. I do want to point out, I do like both systems.
I do too. I do too. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our final tally from today. Let's at our next. Has anybody else been keeping score? Yay! So desktop 4, online 4. The truth of it is that it really depends on what the best fit is for you. We've talked about some of the strengths and limitations of both products. We've talked about the comparisons and the considerations to keep in mind when you're trying to figure out what the right product is for you. And yes, today we focused mainly on Intuit products because we're good friends with Intuit. But here at Singer LeWack, we support many products. So if you're going, great, I don't use Intuit, thanks very much. We're willing to help and just eager to help as well in those areas. So there's a lot of different software that we work with. So please feel free to reach out to us. QuickBooks Desktop was their flagship software. You know, that's the truth of it. We're going to talk about some of those features that are in desktop, but that are not in online. So I just have a real quick summary of this. Offline access. So for some people, they actually don't want the online access. Offline access is a strength for them. You're able to do multiple company files. So if you have several different companies and you want to be able to run several different ones for one cost, at this point in time, you're able to buy a desktop product and run several things. Run several different files. Having said that, please be aware that starting in 2022, you're going to a subscription basis. So the days are running out where you're able to just buy a product straight off of the shelf that is going to be a one-time purchase. So please everybody be aware. So if you're wanting to get the best and the most version or the most play out of that desktop product, make sure you get a 21 version. So that way it'll last for the next couple of years before you have to do the switch. You're able to back up and restore copies. If you need to pull something back from a certain amount of time, or you're able to consolidate or condense a file to keep just you want to have a limited scope, like in a case of an audit, you want to be able to only show a certain amount of time. You're able to do that in the desktop, where you're not really able to do that in the online. You can do IIF importing. You also can do multiple vendor ship to addresses. This really is very helpful when it comes to manufacturing. You can batch enter transaction. QuickBooks Online Advanced version has the batch invoicing and batch checking, but in the desktop versions, you're able to do that in all of the versions there. The billing rates, you have those. That's available in just the Premier and the Enterprise versions. You're able to have billing rates. And then you can post transactions to multiple AP and AR accounts. You can do that a little bit easier in the desktop. The online's going to fight you on that one. So you need to be aware of that. You also in desktop can run a balance sheet by class. Online going to fight you on that one as well. You have additional custom field options that are available in your desktop versions. And then you have all kinds of things like these letters that you're able to use, like collection letters and credit letters that are part of the system that you're able to ship out. I have one client, they have annual maintenance, and they send those letters right outside of QuickBooks Desktop. We're able to get that set up for them, and so they send those reminders out straight outside of the desktop version. So some great.
Also with that, I'm sorry to jump in. One of our clients, nonprofit, they send their thank you letters directly through.
Great.
It's also a really good for printing out their mailing labels when they're doing their newsletters and such for the desktop.
Yep. So some absolutely fantastic additional features that are available in the desktop product that you can use for some of that kind of back-end office stuff that is you still need that same customer list. So rather than having it there and keeping it up also in Word or in Excel so you can print your labels or your letters, it's nice to have it all in one function. So desktop, I mean, it's the flagship product. There's a reason why it's great. Let's go ahead and look at what's in online versus not in desktop. So the features in QuickBooks Online that are not available in desktop. At this point, you can access your account from anywhere with an internet connection. Now there is cloud hosting that's available. There's a lot of partners out there that do it. Right Networks is one of them. So if you want to be able to have some of that functionality, but you need that desktop product, there are some options to do that. In online, you don't have to worry about a server or backup or any kind of hosting that we just kind of referred to. It's all part of what you're getting with by the nature of having the online version. You got a single click to access the client's books. So if you have several different versions yourself, you can click into those and take a look at that. Journal entries. This one's fun. The journal entries can have multiple AR and AP lines. Now, some of you that means nothing, but to the people who need it, by gosh, this is an amazing feature to not have to have a separate journal entry for every entry into AR or AP. You also are able to have multiple P&L budgets per fiscal year. So that's a great feature. That is an awesome feature. So for some of those nonprofits that are doing budgets by grants or whatever, you have a lot of different options here. Or if you want to be able to separate it by divisions, this is a fabulous feature to be able to do that. The audit log, it will review all of the actions on the account and track the changes over time by user. This is a fabulous feature. I'm able to go in immediately and take a look and see, oh, this was changed on September 16th at 4:45 by Joy. Great, thank you. So you're able to track that and see what happened in particular if you need to be able to find out why a certain transaction was changed. You'll also be able to track by location, and you can choose from multiple location labels. We talked about the robust bank feeds and bank rules, the invoice tracking, and then you can automatically schedule and send transactions. And the automated sales tax is in there. This has gotten a real big beef step up recently and stuff. So if you haven't looked at the sales tax feature in the online version, you should take a look at it. And then, of course, receipt capture. It's not something that I hear a lot of people talking about, but the functionality to be able to be at a gas station and take a picture of that receipt and have it sent straight into QuickBooks and make it part of the bookkeeping is a fabulous, fabulous feature. If you're interested in more on that, please reach out to us. Now, I do want to say that some of these features, there's parts of them that are available in other products. So for example, the audit log. You do have an audit log in desktop, but it doesn't do exactly the same thing. So in case you're going, hey, wait a minute here, some of this stuff is available in desktop. It's not exactly the same. So just know that. So again, your comparisons, your considerations, the point is that there's a product that's available for you. It's just a matter of what works best for your business. All right.
Actually,
we are going to launch.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
I'm
yes.
sorry,
because
I know we want to get to our other poll. The quick question, are there more than one online version? If so, how many and what are their costs?
Yes, there are definitely more than one online version. So I'm happy to go over costs and stuff with you after this. It depends on if you're purchasing it yourself or if you're buying it through a company such as Singer Lewack. We are able to get you a discounted rate, a wholesale rate. So we'd want to talk through that. We'd want to know what you're looking for to make sure we recommend the right features. But yes, there are multiple. There's 4 different versions. If you include the simple, which we don't, the self one, we don't use that one a lot, but there are. So feel free to reach out to us and we'll go over that. But they are the Plus, the Essentials, and the Advanced. So there's 3 different versions of the online version. So good question. Good question. Thank you, Jayme. Okay, so now let's go ahead and launch that final poll. Which of today's features did you find the most intriguing? Our options are quite a lot. Bank feeds, job costing, cloud and security, customizing reports, payroll, payments, or hey, the speakers. We'll take that one too. Go ahead and enter your vote now. And as we're doing that, if there's any other questions, please feel free to put those in the chat box, even if we don't have time to get to those today. We will follow up with you. If you want one of us to reach out to you, or you have further questions, please feel free to get a hold of us. We're here for you. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to make sure that you are in the right product, that you are set up the right way, and we want to do everything we can to help make your business as successful as possible. That's about all I've got for today, Lara. We're going to see the results of our poll here, and then I'm going to pass it back to you. So it looks like, ooh, customizing reports and bank feeds. Those are our top two, although we'll take the vote on the speakers. We like that one too.
Very intriguing people here. Thank you so much to Greg and Jim for your time and giving us your experiences with both very wonderful and viable solutions for any business. If we could go to the last slide here, but again, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, and we're hopeful that everybody was able to walk away with some new knowledge. And if you have any further questions, if you want to brainstorm with any of us on what solution is best for your business, let's chat, because there are ways to make either of them fit for you, except for construction. But we're definitely happy to explore the options for you. So for more information, you can follow us on LinkedIn. There is a Business Solutions Group LinkedIn page. Here we have a QR code that you can go ahead and use, and that will take you straight to our LinkedIn page. And on there, we put a lot of information, latest business or accounting trends, tips and tricks. And there is a podcast that we record called The Fran Factor, and we talk about general business trends on that as well. So that might be useful to you. We would love to see you guys on LinkedIn. I do want to, again, thank Jayme for putting this together. Also, we do have some other webinars coming up. An invitation will go out tomorrow, my understanding. Right here, we have a QR code, so you can sign up for that next webinar, and it's actually on cybersecurity. It's a two-part series, 1 hour over the lunch period, takes place in November, and the first one is actually going to be a presentation from the FBI. We have found what we have been doing a lot is working with our businesses on their internal controls. Sometimes businesses come to us for help after they have unfortunately experienced some sort of misappropriation of assets or a defalcation of sorts. We come in, we clean up their accounting internal controls, make some recommendations, or we take on their accounting, and we're able to give them some great solutions so that they don't encounter anything like that again. However, there's sometimes some emails, frauds, and scams that can occur, and the unsuspecting person can accidentally put their company at risk. So the FBI is actually going to come in and give us some pretty cool stories and some ideas for helping your business. I do want to point out we are not able to record that session. It's the FBI. So you do want to attend that one. The second one we'll be speaking to bankers, attorneys, and myself about some internal controls and things you can do to protect your business, or even what you can do in the event that you have experienced some sort of misappropriation or fraud of any sort. This could also be something that could be applicable to your personal life as well, not just your business. So lots going on out there. We hear it on the news all the time. Things going on, hackings and all sorts of things with large companies. So this is definitely a topic that we want you business owners out there to learn from and do what you need to do to mitigate this happening to you or your family. So again, thank you so much. Thank you again to Greg and Jim. Really appreciate you spending your time with us today. And with that, hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the day. Make sure to sign up for the next webinar. QR code's up there. Take it now, but the email will come out to you guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lara.
Thank you.